Most people, including you, have a phone, right? And in my opinion, I feel like most people like to go a bit wacky with their phone screen setup sometimes, and go a bit crazy. Some people don't even know what they're doing with their home screen setups and stick with the default option. But for me, I like to keep it minimal. So welcome to my home screen setup for 2026 on the Pixel 10a, and a bonus, I'm gonna also be talking about some of my favorite features of Android 17. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Before we start, let's talk about the specs. This phone has a 6.3-inch LTPO 422 pixels, haha, very funny, by inch screen, which actually is excellent in most scenarios. When I'm watching YouTube videos or filming videos, I can see every pixel clearly on the screen, and this high pixel density, I should say, definitely works better on a day-to-day basis, and I love using this phone, especially the screen. Of course, we have Android 17 running on the phone. I got to test this when I had the Pixel 8a a year ago. It was pretty unstable, but now obviously it's a new version, so it's a lot more stable, and I love using Android 17 on a daily basis. As I mentioned before, I'll be going into some of my favorite features later on in the video, but generally speaking, I do love using Android 17. And yeah, overall the screen of this phone is excellent. It also do have 8GB of RAM, which is about twice what I had compared to my older iPhone 12 and my older Pixel 8a, which had 6GB I believe of RAM, and I've got the 128GB storage version of this phone. And so this means I can download enough apps and have about 50 to 60GB free just to film my videos, which is half of the reason I bought this phone for, and that's excellent. Power in this phone is a Google Tensor G4 chip, meaning that performance will be, generally speaking, better than average. It will be decent. It won't be amazing like the A19 or A18 Pro chips or A18 chips, I should say, in the iPhone 16e, which is a direct competitor to this phone, and even the iPhone 17 will be 10 times more powerful, most likely. Actually, I've got the numbers to back that up, so yes, it will be a lot more powerful. But for the majority of people, the Pixel 10a's performance is great, especially paired with a 920Hz display, meaning that generally speaking, you're not going to notice a massive difference, or you actually feel that the Pixel experience is better because of the 120Hz display, meaning that overall the feel of the phone and using the phone on a daily basis is better. Anyway, that's most of the specs out of the way. Let's get straight into my home screen with the Pixel 10a. So let's get straight into it. So this is Android 17, and on first impressions it's actually really cool. I do like using Android 17 on a daily basis. We have the weather tab up there, as you can see, and when you scroll up you can see the whole app drawer. It's actually really convenient, and overall Android 17 is really well put together. But how about my actual setup? Well, as you can see on the home screen here, we've got two widgets, one for LinkedIn and one for contacts. It's also very important to keep in contact with your family, I think, so I've got widgets for that. And overall Android 17 is really a cohesive experience that really adds to your experience using the phone on a daily basis. And what you can do with Android 17, you can resize widgets, and I think that's really cool. I got this really cool Spider-Man wallpaper through an app that I'll link in the description that you guys can download if you want. So that's really excellent, and overall Android 17 is great. But in a setup, the most important thing, generally speaking, is probably the apps. And in my opinion, the apps I use include things like ChatGPT, Google Gemini for AI-based features, and just to chill out, I use apps such as YouTube, etc, etc. And no, generally speaking, the apps I use are more on the productive side. I'm not the kind of person to doom scroll for hours. I only use my phone for, generally speaking, a short 4.5 hours a day on maximum, which for my age group, generally speaking, is actually pretty low. So I'm pretty happy with this, and I aim to use Google Pixel to be productive in the future. And I'm going to make a feature I do use a lot is called Universal Floating Bubbles, and it's really productive. It actually helps me to be productive, given you can use multiple apps at once. And generally speaking, this feature is actually a standard feature, and I'll get into more of this later on in the video. And of course, finally, we have features such as light and dark mode, as you'll see on the screen later on. I did record this in a funny way. Funnily enough, I recorded the video and then I recorded the audio. I should have done the other way around. Anyhow, as you can see here, we can quickly change this from light to dark mode. And I tend to use dark mode since it saves a lot more battery. But light mode is accessible and easy to use. And it's a bit harsh on the eyes, especially with such a bright screen. But generally speaking, I really like the software on Pixel 10a. And because I don't tend to use my phone as much as the people in my age group do, for teenagers for example, I did like the setup, and it's really minimal, and overall it's really great. Personally, Google Gemini has to be one of the most innovative features on the Pixel. I do love using this phone with a Google Gemini on a daily basis, and I do love using all the features that comes with the Google Gemini. But for most people, I think that the best thing you can do to get the most of Google Gemini is to get a serious phone. There's no point even looking at the Pixel 11s, and I'll make a separate short about that, so make sure to subscribe down below for that to not miss that short. The Pixel 11s aren't going to be that much of an upgrade, so as far as we know. And look, Google Gemini as it is really, really good, and in general I do like using Google Gemini. And what we can do is you can squeeze the side of the phone to activate Google Gemini, and it can do so many things. You can set your calendar, it can do start directions on Google Maps, and if you have a Pixel watch, you can do some features with Gemini from your watch and they'll activate on your phone. So lots of different things with Google Gemini, and that's why I do like using Google Gemini with this device. The next feature that does actually use AI in some ways is Camera Coach, and I love using this feature as someone who got a 4, albeit I still passed in photography in GCSEs. So yeah, Camera Coach is basically uses, I can literally demo it now if you want me to, but I'm not going to for the flow of the video. It's always best. Camera Coach is pretty much using what you already have as your photo, like it's taking a screen grab as such of your photo that you're taking, and it gives them AI-based coaching on how to fix that to get the best result. And generally speaking, this works great on a daily basis. I can get some amazing results with Camera Coach. I do like using Camera Coach on a daily basis, and I do like how it can teach you how to take photographs. So if you're into photography and like modeling and taking photos of models, for example, I can see this being very helpful for some people. And like there's a group of people who photographers, creators, for example, if this is in video, like if we could have Camera Coach for video, that'd be excellent, but that would take a very powerful Pixel phone, and probably something that wouldn't come to the Pixel 14 or 15, given that Pixel phones are generally underpowered. So hopefully that can happen in the future. The final feature I do like using the Pixel 10a is also a feature called universal bubbles, meaning that you can kind of sideload apps in a way, like open apps but keep them open in the background, basically meaning that you can access apps quickly, and you're almost like split screen. You can use an app while using another, and it's really helpful on a daily basis. And yeah, these are my top 3 features that I like using on Android 17. So overall, those are some of the features I loved using on the Pixel 10a, and that's my home screen setup. And generally speaking, we have an amazing home screen setup that is minimal in my opinion, and I got some wallpapers from an app that I'll link in the description down below, because Spider-Man Brand New Day came out. I wanted to link that into the video somehow, and I'm sure that's going to be a good film. And yeah, I've actually got a channel where I've got all my films that I've made in the description and acted in down below, so if you want to check out some of that, you can click a link down below. But generally speaking, like, I think the Pixel 10a is an amazing device, and you don't need the most expensive phone, especially in my case, given I got such a heavy discount, as I've explained. So yeah, definitely try and like refine the setup if you can, and like there'll be more tips on how to use tech and how to get the most out of tech on this channel. So if you want to see more of that, make sure to subscribe down below. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. If you subscribe and like the video, that'd be great. And yeah, peace out. Bye-bye.
Nothing comes between us but this empathy. Stop the whip, yeah, stop the whip. Now we taking
It's that kind of love that can't lose, cause it's that kind of love you can't choose. When it got your head up over your heels, don't leave it tied in a noose. And you can't define it in the lines of man with some kind of piety to prove. No, it's more like the lines within the tiger skin. This is wild and on the move. This is wild and on the move. Cause there ain't no sun for it, pretty young, but there ain't no honey that's sweeter. With a trunk full of money and heaters. When they coming on the hunt with the media, gonna find 100 round for those magazines. You wanna love, you got a war when it's all about that in between.